All right, everyone. We are within the first 5 minutes of our um, once a month, but once a year national summit. I'm your host, Cy Smith, coming to you in peace, coming to you with love, and just want to say thank you for taking time out to listen. Hopefully, gain some insight on where we are as Black people in this country, where we on our way to from our standpoint, being block by block. We always have a lot to cover, a lot of information. This here 2 hour dialogue goes pretty quick, believe it or not. When I sit and think about me talking for 2 hours, it's like, oh boy, but it goes pretty quick. For those people who don't know anything about National Block Club University, you go to the website www.nationalblock, club, CLUB, university.com. That's www.nationalblockclubuniversity.com. We are a 26-year making neighborhoods safer organization. We focus on anti-violence. Started in Chicago, whole focus is about making safer neighborhoods. We believe we can't do that in the Black community without addressing all the ills that come to create unsafe neighborhoods. So you're going to hear a lot of dialogue about stabilizing our neighborhoods. This here Zoom that we do is for last names beginning with the alphabets V through Z. So for anyone who last name isn't V through Z, sure, you're welcome to listen in, but we will ask you to participate when your last name comes up. Next month in July, anyone who last name begins with alphabets A through E, we want you on here. So if you're a Dunn, a Barksdale, Bass, Cunningham, if you're Ellis, if you're listening today, I'm gonna ask you to do double duty and listen and participate next month as well. Okay, so just a little housekeeping, and then we'll be taking breaks in between the different categories. Right now is roll call time, so I'm gonna go through our structure. Everything we do goes by zip codes, and it's based out of Chicago, and then it projects around the world. So we have 60612 zip code. That's Chicago's West Side, East Garfield Park. We do not have anyone last names V through Z in that zip code. Governor Byron is the head of that zip code. It's linked to Boston and Ghana in Africa, and they manage all of our scientists, chemists, and biologists. Then we have 60623. That's North Lawndale in Chicago zip code. We have no one in that zip code last name V through Z. It's linked to Los Angeles. I'm going to be talking about LA. We have good developments in Los Angeles. And it's linked to Senegal in Africa. 60624, not expecting anyone on that zip code. That's Garfield Park in Chicago, headed by Sandra Bryson. Eric Strickland covers 60623. 60624 is Sandra Bryson. I'm not expecting her on. Her last name is B, so that's next month for her. In 60624, we do have Reva Williams. Reva Williams, one of our elders. I'm not expecting her to get on, but she is someone we've been active with. So she stayed active with us this month, which is her twice a year solution. We also have 60624 linked to Atlanta, Georgia, and is linked to Sierra Leone. Our brother James out there in Sierra Leone in Africa, and brother Micah in Senegal, brother Adomski in Ghana, along with our Jolly, long time African partner in Ghana as well. Then we move on to 60639, our superstar Tiffany. Just interacted with her. She bought these watermelons you saw posted a minute ago. 60639 is linked to Nigeria in Africa. That's our headquarters for all communications. Sister Ishola and her wonderful team out there in Ghana is linked to Memphis, Tennessee. We got Melina, super funder down there in Memphis. We got Sean. We got our superstar Keisha. Um, we got Darnell and his beautiful wife. And Memphis is pretty good. We got to help do right by Memphis. Then we have 60644 zip code. That's South Austin. That's linked to Cote d'Ivoire or Ivory Coast, as some people call it, in Africa. It's linked to St. Louis, Missouri. It's linked to manages all things dealing with lawyers. Same way 60639 manages all things dealing with communication, judges. 60623 manages all things dealing with police, firefighters. Told you 60623, I believe, deal with all forms of entertainment. Then the last one on the west side is 60651. 60651. That zip code has Nate Watkins. Haven't heard from Nate all month long, so put the call out. Anyone, we need to hear from Nate before the next 4 days, before this month is out, because we won't engage him again for 6 months. So it's important to hear from people during their 1 month out the year. All right. So that zip code 51 is headed by Governor Kenita Jones. It's linked to Birmingham, Alabama. Awesome Leandria out there in Birmingham. It's linked to Western Sahara in Africa. We don't have any link there. And it's linked to all things dealing with restaurant chefs, caterers, i.e. food. All right. So that's that structure. Now we go to the south side of Chicago. 60609 zip code is the New City neighborhood. That's linked to Detroit, Michigan. We don't have anyone in Detroit, last name V through Z. It's linked to Ethiopia in Africa, and it's linked to all construction. So we do have some stuff to talk about later on in Team 6, because we met some awesome new people in plumbing and other forms of construction. Then we have 60620 headed by our illustrious Frances Newman. Just dropped off watermelons to her. And Frances is the governor of 60620. We have Pam Dominguez, her district leader out there, linked to Norfolk, Virginia, Egypt, and Africa, and manages all things dealing with animals, i.e. veterinarians. Let's see, we have no one A through V through Z in Norfolk as well. However, in 60620, Brother Darrell Wilson, sax preacher, is Wilson, last name W. Wilson, so that's excellent. Then we move on to 60629, new governor there. Deborah Pryor is the new governor. Tracy Thomas is the regional leader, and 60629 been rocking and rolling. And we do have Will Williams, he's a mechanic in 60629. Mr. Weathers, he's in that zip code as well. So we do have some people in 29. It's linked to Washington, D.C. D.C. is one of our superstar teachers, Jade, superstar Polly. And then we have Djibouti in Africa. No one in Djibouti is linked to this zip code. And this zip code manages all things dealing with business. So it's a big deal, 60629. We move on to 60636. This zip code is led by Denise King as the governor. We have 4 district leaders under her. Tuesday Wilson, last name Wilson. Gloria Williams, last name Williams. Fitz this month, and we won't bug them again until December. So we need to interact with those 2 before this month is out. Ideally, they would have been on this Zoom today. That zip code is linked to San Diego, California. Brother Cornelius Bowser out there in San Diego. We have a few other Black entrepreneurs in that zip in San Diego as well. So we are grateful for them, but no one last name V through Z in San Diego. It is also linked to all things dealing with gardening, growing our own food, and of course, Somalia in Africa. Final one on the southwest side of Chicago is 60652 zip code, led by Governor Brittany Corners. Brittany is one of we had her since she was 14. Now she's a nurse and owner of her own trucking company. So she's one of our success stories that we love to talk about. Her zip code is linked to St. Paul, Minnesota. We just had Mr. Chauvin sentenced to 22 and a half years, and still more charges pending. that came up there from the St. Paul area in Minnesota. We have some great people up there in St. Paul, Minnesota, that works with us as well. No one last name V through Z though. So great people, but no one that fits the mold for this month. Then we have 60652 linked to Kenya in Africa. We have two different families down there in Kenya. We want to send the pennies to Africa to support them. And then it's linked to all things dealing with politicians. Okay. So that is the South side and the West side. Now I'm going to go quicker, short on time here with the East side under this roll call. So 60615, Governor Joe leads it. It manages New Orleans, Congo, and Africa, and all things dealing with travel. 60617, Chrissy is the head, Chrissy Williams, so she should be on here with us right now. 60617 is managing all teachers in Chicago, and it's linked to Tanzania and Africa and Kansas City, Missouri. 60619, led by the amazing Erica Dunn. 60619 is linked to Angola in Africa. It's linked to Philadelphia, and they manage all things dealing with missing persons in America. 60628 is led by the strong Governor Charles Robinson, linked to South Africa, linked to Dallas, Texas, and manages all nurses, coaches, and pastors. 60637, led by our wonderful, wonderful leader, Claudette Reddick, is linked to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where we continue to give free gas Wednesdays out. Is linked to all things dealing with photographers, DJs, designers, and they also are linked to Zimbabwe in Africa, Sister Salul out there. We have 60643, led by Diana Barnes. She has linkages with Latoya Witcher, who's in Cleveland. Her 60643 is linked to Cleveland. We want to see Latoya and Diana work together. That'll bring Chicago, Cleveland together in the system. It's linked to Botswana in Africa, and they manage all dentists and doctors. Then we have 60649 on duty today, Governor Rachel Lindsay, linked to Miami, Florida, where we got Jermaine Wells in Miami. Then it's linked to South, well, it is South Shore, but it's linked to Miami. It's linked to Zambia and Africa, and they manage all sales, marketing, i.e. vendors. The last one, 60653, led by brother Yusufu, as Bronzeville in Chicago, is linked to Gary, Indiana. It's linked to Nambia in Africa, and they deal with all administration. That's our roll call, especially for those people who are brand new. I wanted you guys to hear that in its entirety because this is a big deal and it's a lot. All right, now moving right along with the agenda. That's the roll call. So many good news reports. So I'm not going to take time in this section of the agenda to go over that. You're going to hear it as I go through each section, so we can skip that. Now we can get into the rural town reports. So what I want to start off with that is we have 108 towns in Mississippi, and these towns are from the top of Mississippi, Olive Branch, South Haven, all the way to the bottom of Mississippi, bordering Louisiana and Florida. So there's 82 counties, 25 of them are Black majority. And so we're working up and down the state, the poorest state in the union, the state where it's almost a million Black people at. We can invest heavily there and have our people there deployed all over this country to add value wherever they go to. What's important is anyone in Mississippi whose last name is V through Z, today we need to hear from you. If your last name is A through E, get ready, because next month we need to hear from you. So either way it go, this is an all-inclusive structure. That's what this is. So it's important that everyone see the value in that and recommend their family and friends to us. So I just wanted to put that out there so you guys know rural towns play a big part in what we do. We're going to continue to send money to our people throughout the state of Mississippi, Bucksport, South Carolina, North Carolina, Coalfield, and any other of our 9 focus areas in rural America. So let me pause there. When I come back, we're going to take Should be a 5-minute pause, but because I was behind, we're going to come back at 3:22. Give us 3-minute break. We're going to start talking about the violence. Thank you. This picture I'm going to put up while we go to break here. This is a picture that hopefully will just give you guys some perspective on the bigger picture of what it is that not trying to do, give you a big perspective of what we are doing, because at the end of the day, we're going to be talking about this, and I want you guys to be able to watch it while we. All right, everyone, we're back now. So we are about to focus and concentrate on safety. Safety is one of our pillars. It is the reason we exist. And the way we see it, you guys, especially people who are new, every Monday is safety day, every Monday. So every Monday we talk about how do we be safer? What can be done? How can we make it a habit of being safer? And we're going to talk about the gamut of safety. So not just the shooting and the killings when we talk about safety, but we also will be looking at things such as making sure that you have smoke alarm works, things of that nature as well. So it's the whole gamut of safety. Let me read to you the unfortunate verse so you can get in the mindset of where we are. So we had Birmingham robber. He shot a 22-year-old man to death at an auto mechanic shop, and that was the 58th murder in Birmingham. You had a parole officer, female parole officer, overpowered during a visit to her to her parolee, and was raped. Going to work and got raped. That's in Miami. In Memphis, I'm sorry. 3 dead, 1 shot in Raleigh gas station in Memphis as well. There's a group called the Group Violence Intervention Program. I'm going to talk about that later once I go through these numbers here. 8 people shot at the Dallas banquet hall. A 10-year-old and a 5-year-old was shot too. Altogether, 18 was shot, 5 killed that weekend in Dallas, Texas. Gary had 4 murders in 4 nights. Gary, Indiana, in the month of June, this month here. And they're saying what can be done all over this country. They're calling out what can be done to mitigate all of these shootings and killings. We had a man was shot to death by a female, 65th and Perry in Chicago. We had multiple people shot, 8 shot, 4 killed at 62nd and Morgan in Chicago. 54 murders so far in Atlanta right now. $2 million is going to this group called Group Violence Intervention. Let's see what else we got here. So you got 54 murders in Birmingham. And then in Atlanta, I just read to you those murders that they had, 54 in Birmingham. They right next to each other. New Orleans has this violence going on. Kansas City, Detroit, St. Louis, Chicago is the worst in this country. So we know whatever we do, if it passed the Chicago test, it's probably go past the test anywhere else. So let's get to some of the reasoning this is happening, and especially to those new people who are new to this concept. We believe the traditional ways don't necessarily apply right now. We're not giving up on them. We just saying we have to adjust and be flexible to the day and age where we are now. So getting people together always is a good thing. So we're not saying don't come together. What we're saying is we can't waste opportunities of coming together and not completing the inventory. This is what I believe is missing, is this inventory, because it'll put us in a more winning position to get people involved in areas that they feel comfortable in, not what we're telling them is important. And I think too often that's what we do. We go and say, y'all need to get involved, y'all. And that's all they're hearing is, you're not a part of us. You're an outsider coming in my neighborhood telling me what I should do. So for us, it's not what you're going to do that's going to turn this violence around. It's HSN. So you can write that down. It's HSN, habits, schedule, network. That's what's going to turn the violence around. Habits, schedule, network. It's a lifestyle. So all the doers out there, that sound like that commercial. All the doers out there, it's really going to boil down to how we live our life. The benefit of this process, what we have, is we're doing 2 things in particular. We're showing you, we're coming in the community, showing you ways to use time to make life better for yourself. That's what we're doing essentially. We're coming in, we're teaching, i.e. training you on how to use time so that it can make sense. And it's going to make it make sense by altering some habits, adjusting your schedule, and you're going to start to see more of a guaranteed audience of supporters in your life. The other thing we're doing is we're creating economic trust systems, pathways. So that way, whenever you have an idea, there's a pathway to fund that idea. I think we have to do that in especially Black America, because too many times the same people are getting the money, and the people with the innovative outside the box ideas that reach different people are the ones that get ignored. So with this, we're going to change that, because we can't talk about safer neighborhoods and we still doing the same stuff. So I want to make sure I stress that to you. Any and all crime has 3 ingredients that must be present: intent, capability, and opportunity. When all 3 are present, the crime can easily be committed. Take one of the 3 away, crime is not committed. So that's bigger, definition, if you will. So that's where we are on that end. I do want to, because this time is just flying by. This is what I meant when I told you it was going to go quick. So I have to switch gears in 1 minute. Let me finish this. I have this vision that as people learn about this concept more, you, your son, daughter, auntie will be able to walk around wherever you are and give people a code and turn their whole life around. That's the vision, that we're building something that's so big that you could just walk around and see someone that say they need help, get them a code, tell them what time to call, that the information on the card or what paper you gave them, and it turn their whole life around. Isn't that one? Like, isn't that a beautiful thing? So that's what we want to see happen. So let's switch gears here. Every Monday is safety day. What that also means, especially for our ladies, is did you check your smoke alarm? That's one thing. That's Monday. Make sure it's working. Do you have a fire extinguisher? If you do, does it work? Is it near the stove? That's important. Does the family know where to meet in case of emergency? That's a big deal. Do you meet at the beginning of the block, end of the block, or on the next block? If there's a fire, the fire department might shut the block off, so you got to know where you agreed to meet at. Then this is different. How many of us have checked to make sure we have everything we need in the trunk to change a tire? Let me say that again. How many people have checked to see how safe they are in terms of, is the jack back there? Is the tire back there? Is the tool to take the tire off back there? The lock and key. So if any of those things are missing, you're going to be calling AAA. You're going to be stranded. And in our community, people are sitting ducks in our neighborhood. So it's important that you're not just stranded somewhere, because it can turn into something deadly. It can come into a situation where you become missing, all because you was out there too long trying to figure out what to do with a tire. So I want to emphasize part of Monday Safety Day is also looking at that. Now let's talk about missing persons. Missing persons, because too many of our families right now are still agonizing every day because their loved one is not here with them. We've had an incident this month where a young lady was forced into a car with one of our leaders at gunpoint and found dead the next day. This leader is working to ensure that justice is done, and is traumatized in the process. And this is the reality we have. Now, what could we have done to prevent that? Well, the person that he pulled the young lady in the car with looked like they weren't a young person anymore. They felt like they can get away with it. And so we want to create vibrancy in our neighborhoods where there's too many people out where they don't feel comfortable doing that. And so the other piece with the Monday safety agenda and missing persons is, on your block, close your eyes, on your block, would you know if there was a young 15-year-old being trafficked on your block? If the answer to that is no, then it shows you how far away you are, because it should be yes. It should be that we are close knit enough that we're not going to have a young girl here against her will and we don't know about it. So that's a quick assessment. Whatever block you on, if it's 10 houses, how are we looking with these 10 houses? Are they getting it? Are they on board? Are they resisting this concept? That's what needs to happen. All right. So vacant buildings, same thing. We're working on the vacant buildings. If you have vacant buildings, you can always text it to 312 area code 405-8844. That's 312-405-8844. Because here's the thing with the vacant buildings, we want to check and make sure that they're decent before they try to put the stuff over it to say it's been searched. We want to make sure it's decent in terms of us checking it and searching it already. And we got some indicator markers we put on them to let other people conscious like us know that we've been inside to check that particular property. All right, so we've covered the violence, what the solution is to the violence. We covered missing persons. We covered make sure Monday Safety Day you got the tire in the car, vacant buildings. I'm not going to talk about the for-profit side of what we're doing with Gary Real Estates, because this is all non-for-profit. But please know, give me a call if you want to talk about the other side. It's 312-405-8844. That's 312-405-8844. Thanks for watching, you guys. This is going to conclude the safety aspect. We've already concluded the youth aspect, the Mississippi piece as well. So now when I come back, we're going to switch gears and our focus is going to be talking about economic development, right? We'll take a 5-minute break and we'll be back talking about economic development. Peace. All right. Side coming back to you. We are now switching gears here, and we're going to talk about our young people. It's important that you guys kind of know what's happening. Children are getting out of school here, and we are focused on kindergarten through 12th graders, which are all youth, they're all students, but making sure that we get the inventory done block by block, zip code by zip code, because there are certain benchmarks that we want to make with the young people. And so any of our young people, K through third grade, is certain benchmarks, fourth through sixth grade, certain benchmarks, seventh to eighth grade, certain benchmarks, and then of course high schoolers. So one of the big nuggets takeaways is we're getting ready to kick off our summer youth process. And what this is, we wanted it to be overnight, but the likelihood isn't there yet because of funding. We're not getting enough $12 donations from you guys. So we had to tell our family and friends about this so we can have the funding for the overnight extravaganzas with the youngsters. But in the meantime, young people are going to be earning money this summer and being connected. This is different than the municipalities paying our children to stand around and pretty much just pacify them. Under our process, they're going to be utilized, highly utilized, and they're going to be enriched and developed. So that's a big deal. So I wanted to make sure I emphasize that so you guys would be able to know why what we're doing is different, so you would know that it is something that hopefully you will see value in getting your child involved in. All right, so let me switch gears now because it is officially 3:40. Time for us to now um, talk about what we're going to do on the economic side, economic development side. All right, I just posted on Facebook so you guys can go there and catch that. Okay, so anyway, economic development, for those who don't know, everything we do is centered around getting Black people to trust each other and circulate money with each other. It's called circulate or suffocate. Either we circulate money with each other or we suffocate. But it's a belief system that we as a people have to do that. We are 2 trillion people with every other ethnic group in our neighborhoods exploiting us, and we are participating in that exploitation. So it's our hope that we will not do that any further. Having said that, let's talk about um, the Name Your Four campaign first. The Name Your Four campaign is an idea that since every Wednesday is Economic Day, what if every Wednesday you didn't spend money with people who don't care about us? Okay. But you did go and spend money with people who care about us. So you don't spend it with people who don't care. You go spend it with people who do care. And this is no different than Chinatown, Greek town, Little Italy. It This country is a melting pot of different ethnicities, and each ethnicity is in their own best interest to take care of themselves and not be reliant on another group. And unfortunately, strategically, we've been that group that's been relying on other people to take care of us. So we don't have to do that anymore. We have a process uh, to keep our money internal. We are $2 trillion people. We have systems. We have people. So it's a matter of just agreeing. Earlier today, I posted the watermelon. Let me just tell you on the economic side how exciting that is. This Black queen, Ena Jones, has a farm in Georgia. Georgia is important to Black people. 30% Black down there. So they manufactured these seeded non-GMO watermelons. They manufactured them down there. We were able to in 12 hours get 40 people, 40 sold, $10 a piece. So $400 in 10 hours, 12 hours we was able to get. And this morning we've been distributing them, getting them to our people. Here's the beauty. When our people bite into them, hopefully they like them. But what they already did, they justified the farm being down there in Georgia. They bought it so that way he can get the watermelons up here. And then our people using our network talk to each other and say, hey, drop it off with me, drop it off over here, I pick it up over there. This is what it looks like. This is important to cherish this because this is what cooperative economics look like. So this is a beautiful piece. We raised $400 in 12 hours for this, for the watermelons. We're getting ready to launch the 15 people in every zip code $10 campaign so that we can get $150 and get a brand new lawnmower in all 20 zip codes. We have 3 right now, so we're going to keep going. We also, that's going to be about almost 4K, $4,000. We can do that. They also have, on the economic side, the Pennies to Africa that we did. And Pennies to Africa was amazing, raised over $402 in Pennies to Africa. However, I'll break that down later in terms of a lot of people gave more dollars, dollar bill types than loose change, but it's okay. It is a national pandemic that can have people scared of their change. So I get that. But anyway, it was a good month economically for our partners. We was able to do that. Of course, you know, I'm constantly hopefully winning over people to the $12 a year, to the $144 for once a year, and even the $5,000 people. We are building this economic trust system, and that means we loaning money and getting the money back, so we know we can trust you again. And so that's what it boils down to, pretty much. Now, the other thing I wanted to do before we switch gears into construction. Construction is next. So first it is this, and then it's construction. So when I switch gears, talk about construction, hopefully we're going to hear from someone, but they haven't dialed in. In the event that they don't, I will fill in what happened with this person here. So anyway, let me switch gears on the economic front. So we should be in Detroit right now. This is the 4th Saturday in June. So I arrived here in April. That was a strong recruiting month. April. May was supposed to be fine tuning the people we met in April. May give us a chance to sit down one-on-one, build relationships, and then they become participants. That didn't happen this month. And this month we should have been, if we was on schedule, in Detroit, Michigan doing the organizing, but we were still here in GI and Gary, and we should have been in Detroit. In July, we should have been in Milwaukee. So by not getting the money we was looking for in the spring, now summer is getting that money, but it's paying back what they had in the spring. And we need to access our people to get this next level of funding, which is going to carry us over the top. So I don't want to get too much in the weeds on that, but just the bottom line, your $12 matter. Get your family, friends, everyone to just trust you and release $12 to you, and you get it to us. Let's do it that way. All right. Pause here. It's time when we come back. We'll be discussing. Let's see what's next on the agenda here. When we come back, we'll be discussing the trades, construction trades. Thank you. All right, all right, all right. Sorry, back at you. The sun is starting to come out. I have to let the blinds down here in a minute so you guys can still see me and whatnot. So anyway, now we're gonna switch gears and talk about construction. Let me go into a recap before we do that, so you guys will know what we have done so far. Almost uh, 48 minutes into this once a month Zoom for last names V through Z. We started out, we've already discussed kind of the overview, the 20 neighborhoods and how they're all connected. We talked about how the rural towns play a part in this, i.e., Mississippi, preferably. We talked about our violence. We talked about the remedies, which is habit, schedule, and network. Talked about missing persons already and vacant buildings. We talked about what to do to make sure on Mondays you have all your changing up flat tire equipment in the car, not somewhere else. And so now um, we're gonna talk about construction. We Let me give you some numbers here because I haven't done the main numbers, but I do have some numbers for you. We have raised. I know I have the exact numbers here, so they're right here. We raised 5 people worth of $144 in this month, June. So 144 times 5, that's what we raised in the loans to keep this thing going. However, a month earlier in 606, I mean in May, we had 9 people. So we had 5 this month, 9 people do the $144. Then we had 5 people do it in March. We had 4 people do it in February. We had 4 people do it in January. So as I look at numbers like this, it gives me encouragement to kind of know if we trended in the right way or not. So that's encouraging to me. If you can't name your 4, remember we talked about name your 4, name 4 black businesses you supported. You can just send $5 to Claude Hayes. He's a DJ in Woodlawn. You can send $5 to Tiffany and Leroy Daycare, or you can send the money to Play Doh Doll Daycare in Illinois. You can send $5 to our moving company, Infinity Movers. And then lastly, our plumber, which is Reverend, we just met him, Jackson. So Taylor, I mean. So with that in mind, if you move $5 to all 4 of them, you will be in lockstep with what we're doing elsewhere. We'll be having a national movement to make sure money is circulating to our business people as well. And some of the questions is, what you giving the money for? Picture it as a support system for them having a physical storefront. We know that costs money, so this is just icing on the cake to get 10 people in one zip code going to get them $5. That adds up, and that's a big deal. So that's it. Let's switch gears. Construction. We've been blessed just recently to meet Brother Taylor, who is a former teacher, retired teacher at my old school, Dunbar. And he hit it out the park in our communication in terms of just his consciousness on where we are, what we are going through. And I appreciate that. It felt good to, listen in. But this brother is a plumber. This is Team 5. For those who don't know, who are the Team 5 members? Team 5 is made up of people who are into auto mechanics. That's working with your hands. Seamstress, tailors, work with your hands. Auto mechanics, carpenters, bricklayers, plumbers, welders, roofers, you name it. If it's dealing with work with your hands in a skilled trade, this matches it. Now, our philosophy and goal is to extract from them $12. That's one thing. The second thing is to find out what is their focus and how can we bring 1 or 2 children to their event. And when we do that, we'll be helping to put the money there as well. So that way what they're doing now, they can be recognized independent of the political system. All right. So anyway, going back to construction, what we want to do is all the homeowners, property owners, before you lease, get into agreement with non-Black owned construction people, give us a call, 312-405-8844. And the reason I say that, 312-405-8844, is because we don't even know our last name. So we're the ones that appear to be quick talking about kumbaya when the fact of the matter is an injury has occurred that we haven't recovered from, and it's not a direct result of our own. That's it. So that's more than enough for them to apologize. But I get the legal ramification. They want to open them doors up for other stuff. So that's just what they do. Disservice to black people, but that's what they do. So anyway, so let's go through what's coming up. So on the plumbing end, I've been grateful again. This brother's introduced me to people in all the trades. So we're gonna try and get those trades persons together in carpentry, those trades persons together in brick masonry, all of them. Okay, that's what we're gonna work on doing. And when we do that, we think we're gonna see a more robust response to people because they'll see how widespread it is and how what we're doing here, we also doing in a different state in Gary as well as here in Chicago. So that hopefully will make people feel like they're part of something that's bigger than an organization, a person, things that's gonna perish. This is Third Wednesday Nurses is forever. Okay, so it's ongoing. All right, so that's kind of it on the construction end. And when we come back, we'll be talking about health and our education. I got some health products somewhere here. Thought I had them here, but we'll check and see. But in the meantime, healthy. Every Thursday is health day. Every Thursday is a chance to review your health, give someone on a scale with you, run tests, have a good time, but do it in unison with the rest of us every Thursday. All right, hopefully this helps. I'm gonna go to the break, then we'll come back. When we come back, we're going to be coming back on education. I know a lot of you guys love that. Thanks. All right, everyone. Your host, Cy Smith, is back again. Now we're getting into our conversation centered around education. We talked about economics, talked about construction. Now we're going to switch gears and talk about education and health, i.e., food as well. So this is going to be a bigger conversation because there's so much to cover here. Plus, the teachers are out of school now. So let's get into first and foremost what's new. So those people who haven't heard, we have in our network a system where we have our own version of education. And we feel like this is reinforcement education. So it's not to replace current education, but it's to make sure that we have something that's going to be something that we can focus on to ensure our children learn. So reinforcement education. What that looks like is we go on your block. If your block is third grade university, we're going to bring yard signs with third grade questions on one side. Then across the street are the answers. They're going to go down one end, get all the answers, write them down, come on the other side and get money for the ones they got right. So that's what we're doing. But what that really boils down to is an excuse to get to know our kindergartners through 12th graders. That's an easy way of getting them to see value and come on board, the students. Now, every profession is linked to a different career. So I got to go through this so I knew people would know. All daycare owners, entertainers, painters, and veterinarians are linked to kindergartners financially, meaning they give money to support kindergartners. All liquor stores, seamsters, tailors, and gardeners give money to first graders. All corner stores, firefighters, fishermen, or anglers, martial arts, i.e. karate, you guys give money. Corner stores, you give money to second graders. Third graders have beauty supply stores, carpenters, Marines, and restaurants give money to help third graders out. Then we go down to fourth grade, all beauty salons, Black owned, brick masons, detectives, landscapers, police officers, and snow removal firms all come together financially and help our fourth grade university out. Fifth grade is led by car washes, nurses, photographers, and scientists. We ask them to do the same with investing in fifth graders. Then we have Army veterans, administrators, computer programs, and nail salons. They financially help our sixth graders out. Seventh graders are helped out by Air Force, auto mechanics, engineers, entrepreneurs, gas station owners, journalists, and roofers. And that one is kind of fishy because on one hand, we had seventh grade university, then we got people who are passionate about seventh grade, want to do their own thing. We support both. It's not the end of the world. Okay. Eighth graders are helped by barbers, lawyers, judges, movers, teachers, and travel agents. So this is the group, eighth grade, where you're gonna hear about travel other places and go. So that's a big deal. Ninth graders are about accountants, making sure you cross all your I's, dot your T's, cleaners, chefs, landlords, Navy personnel, and welders. Pretty straightforward there. 10th graders, caterers, cellular stores owned by outsiders, Coast Guard, doctors, DJs, and HVAC. Why are you in this neighborhood this late at night? What are you up to? You know, that's what the idea is. If we see people moping around, being around our young people out in the community. All right, so 11th graders have apparel store owners, authors, electricians, veterinarians, and politicians. That's a big one. Then the last one is lounge owners, massage therapists, plumbers, salespersons. So this is the one dealing with roots and vine. This is the one dealing with all things dealing with food, what we put in our stomachs. Every time you go to the kitchen, you representing Team 5, the construction. All right, so we got that out the way. Let's talk about this other piece when it comes to young people. We can only engage so many young people as an organization. What is more potent and powerful is if we all have the same mission, if you will, and it'll just shape out differently based on who's doing the work. So I'm in 2 coalitions right now, and these coalitions have matured because they weren't at this level where I see them at now. And here's where we are now. We had enough talking and rhetoric. People want to see action. And so we get that. And we think we have that covered with this process here. So let me read that to you, and you take it for a grain of salt. Let me know what you think. So this goes into last name solutions, but this is centered around how we're going to make what we do practical to people. It can't be just someone with resources go and get something and then say it's for charity, and it's really not. Don't be extracting resources that we need for your greedy motivations, if you will. So anyway, going back to the linkages with education, this is how this is set up, and hopefully it's going to shape out. It's based on your last name. So this month, I'm going to read to you the last names that we want to have helping us with K through 12th grade. So because it's June, it's Youngs, Xavier's, Vans, Vinings, Zires, Washington's, Wares, Walkers, Watt Williams, Woods, Turner, Robinson, Riders, Roberts, Quinn. May and November is Ganor. So we got Ganor, Gibbs, and Gibson. And then the last one, shucks. Upshaw. That's the only one for this month. That was February. And then here in June is Zimmer. That's it. So when we talk about right now, our youngsters out here doing things that they shouldn't do, where are the grown-ups in their life to guide them away from that? I just gave you some that you can go and write your whole calendar around, so you're not being called out to do things. You can stay focused, or you can leave it as is. People call you when they need you. Totally up to you. But we want to build in place these protections so that our people can be a little bit more safer at work. All right. Let me pause there. Any questions, please ping me in my inbox. I'm checking my inbox as we speak as well. Hopefully you guys are able to hear me as well. But yeah, that was for the most part the main thing we talked about with the cleanups. And of course, I wanted to keep meeting people. But Governor Joe and the other governor was out there engaging the people who was near. But at the end of the day, K through 12th grade is all of our responsibility. We hope coalitions will take it, break it up into small manageable groups of 13 different groups under that organization whole. That organization whole is linked to us to make sure the money is flowing. Beautiful to me. So that's what I think. And so let's switch gears again, because it's that time. We are at schools now. My thing with the public school system is this: we need to give our teachers more than enough resources so that they can be even more effective. Unfortunately, because of probably racism, I can't prove that our young people are at a disadvantage and a continued disadvantage. They're born into disadvantage. In those days, so awards. We did give out some awards. Let's see. I think we gave out award in Mississippi. We gave out award in Georgia. Where else? Some other places. But the awards is K through 12th grade. Typically, it's about $300 a month for all 12 months. That's $3,600 if we don't do nothing bad with it, but that's what it's worth. And so that's the key: is how do we get more people to do this quick survey of who you are, and then give us that information so we can process. All right, so that's it. Teachers should, let me go on the record here. Teachers should get a raise. Teachers should have a resort place so they can have a place to get away, especially those who are single and they want to be out and about and feel vibrant. That's the type of environment that the first spot talked about, not the one we're talking about now, which is prairie farms. So any questions, put them in the comments box and I answer those. But we're moving right along because now at the 4:06 hour, we're gonna focus and concentrate on the awards that we issued out and any teachers. So let's pause. We're gonna come back with that. Excellent. We are back now. All right. So here we are at the 411 mark. And again, I'm not really anticipating any of our V through Z leaders getting on. We only have a few more sections to cover. And then you guys will have the rest of your day back again. And the next one is in July. So we got time for that for 30 days. A through E is typically our strongest alphabet. So we'll have a packed house next month. So let's get into this next phase of the conversation here, which is dealing with policy and legal. So before I do that, before I go into that, I want to say we did the Pennies to Africa walk, the Pennies to Africa walk. We did the, that's every second Saturday of the month. So we did that. We did the Milwaukee Black Gas Station Free Gas Wednesday. We did the Los Angeles Black Gas Station Free Gas Wednesday because it's Economic Day. So I'm overjoyed that we're starting to see this traction where leaders are seeing it and taking action and doing it with less input from me. That's a good thing. Less input, less direct involvement with me means that people are taking it, owning it, and making it their own. That's a good thing. So let's talk about the Pennies Africa. We raised $400-some, the most ever. And this was 49 blocks that we walked, longer than the Bud Billiken Day Parade. And what was unique was that every corner, I was on a bullhorn speaking to the people. And what I want to share with you here is some of the headlines from this conversation. 1 second here, let me grab this paper. And this paper here, all right, here we go. This paper here is going to illustrate 13 agenda items and what was discussed along this 49 block walk to pick up pennies for Africa. This was a global event, picking up pennies, cashing them in, sending them to our people in Africa. So growing due to Black suffering, growing due to Black suffering, growing due to Black suffering. That kicked us off. Who in these United States of America are growing because of Black suffering? That's something. You think about that. Who's moving in whose neighborhoods? Who's buying up real estate? Who is getting things dirt cheap? And the only reason why they're able to get it is because of Black suffering, and people either didn't have it or left. And so when you look at who's doing that, it's almost everyone in the world except us. So when you look at the top to bottom issues in our community, policies, things of that nature, we see that there are people who benefit from seeing our community stay where it is right now, from the pawn shops to high interest rate loans to buying our food from other people, having other people do our rules, you name it. There's a reason to give our money to outside instead of inside. That's a trick of the enemy. The colonizers put that together. We got to fight past that. Also, whack-a-mole anti-violence. Whack-a-mole. Remember the game? You just be whacking wherever it pop up at you, whack it. And in our community, that's the type of responses we have with violence. It's whack-a-mole. It's wherever the violence happens, we go there, we report on it, and we say we need to stop. We hold prayer vigils. It's like whack-a-mole, just running around whacking. Our vision is that we're going to be strategic and we're going to know who's on duty all over at all times, and how, so if they need everyone to come together, what that looks like. Because the only people who will be coming together are the people who also have the same last names. That way we got sustainability and we're not burning people out. Also, colonizers' peace versus human being peace. This was the third agenda item that I talked about during the Pennies to Africa. Colonizers' peace versus human race, human being peace. Peace isn't the absence of violence. Like, people got that wrong. Peace is the absence. No. Because you could not have violence going on, be getting verbally abused. So the key is peace is not the absence of violence. Peace is a totality, a wholeness that you feel when you feel like you have things under control. So colonizers' peace. Colonizers' peace is things that represents a luxury or a privilege for them. And so a lot of things they feel like they have a right. And that's the mentality where you come into someone's territory and you feel like you can take it over. That's the colonizer's mentality. Our mentality is Black people and human race, and Gary in Chicago, Gary, Chicago, Atlanta, wherever we are, is to make certain that people know what colonizer peace looks like, so they can call that out, so that they also can look at the human being peace. What is the human being peace? The human being peace is when you are humane and you want to see everyone do well. You want to see people be progressive, achieve their goals, and not the other way where you want to sit back, plot, plan, and go against everything that they do. So anyway, the human being piece is centered really close to the African experience, because when you go through a lot like we have, it builds fortitude if you haven't given up. And we've definitely been fortified. So the fourth thing was living our best life / Wall Street sitting duck theory. Living our best life versus Wall Street sitting duck theory. During Tulsa, we were sitting ducks because here we are doing well in the midst of being surrounded by other people. So it was just a matter of time before jealousy set in and something like that was going to happen. So we learn from that, and what we're going to do going forward is we're going to organize differently. We're not going to be always trying to get the attention of the media. Look at us, look at what we're doing. No, it's engaging our people where they at and helping them. That's what we go do there. Issues versus solutions is a distraction. That's the fifth item I covered. Issues and solutions are a distraction. You hear people all the time talk, we need solutions. That goes back to the subtle thing I talked about, the difference between having, well, it's two things. One, giving someone that want to lose weight versus get rid of weight. That's a play on words, but plays on words really add up and matter. Issues and solutions is another one that's easy, cliche-ish, but the real issue isn't the issues or the solution. The real issue is, do we have the capacity to be able to not just fix the issue, but sustain the fix? A lot of times people get grant money, they go out saying they go fix something, they might fix it, and then a year later it's back to where it was. So many gardens all over this country were started with people who had great intentions, but when that person transitioned, no one kept it up, and it looks horrible. You see that everywhere, and this is the why I'm saying issues of this area looks bad, let's beautify it. That's cool, issue, solution. But we haven't talked about the real deal, which is no matter what it is that we do, if we're not pulling our money together to spend and circulate with each other, everything else is external, and it can be stopped whenever external decides. So when we talk about issues and solutions, I want to really talk about capacity. And that's the economic piece, capacity, knowing who my 35 owners are, who can be there for me to help me when I'm in the bind. Finding out who my 35 people are in Garrett so they can be there. So creating those pipelines is important for our businesses as well as our residents. The shiny object theory. Shiny object theory. What this is it's the distraction. Wherever the media say it's a hot spot and there's a lot going on, we have people that run to that, and that's what they make that their headline story as well. We don't do that. We are focused on relationships we've established, and we don't race to the shiny object, because we know the unsung heroes sometimes are people that you don't see out there, but they doing the work. We have the race to the bottom theory right now. This here is to counter the critical race theory that some non-balanced people are pushing in terms of trying to demean the truth. We call it the truth. That's what we call the truth. And some people don't want the truth, so they are feeling the way they feel. But on our end, the race to the bottom theory is centered around those same people who are giving resources to our brothers and sisters who's at the lowest standard in their life right now, and they're uplifting them. And when they're uplifting them, they're having them believe that now they've arrived, they've made it, and that they are rich forever. They could be, but it's at an expense of their culture. And you don't hear no other radio stations allowing that music to be played except for our places here in GCI, because they know in Chicago, they know the audience is captive and ready to receive it. So we got to work on that race to the bottom theory. Everyone being tough, angry, and gangster. Go prove to someone something. Pump your brakes, bring it down. All right, so I ain't gonna be able to get through all of these because it's already 4:21. So, but the bottom line, this is good, y'all. This is really, really good, and text me, I get you a copy of that because that's a good thing. Policy. So it kind of goes into this. So the anti-Asian hate legislation passed through Congress. Senators signed on to it. To give us a nugget, they signed on to the our version of it too, which is the not the George Floyd bill, but Juneteenth. Sorry about that. They've signed on to that. So now it's a federal holiday. Now, what should Black people do with that? Now that that's been passed, we can't let up and say, now they can say, we gave y'all something and be quiet, because the real issue is this voting rights. In Georgia, you can't bring water to someone standing in line. Totally unacceptable stuff. So policy wise, we got to get in the game for all 8 teams. What is our policies we want to see politicians take forward? What is our business policy? What is our accountability policy? What is our safety policy? What is our education policy? Our race policy? Our Friday policy? What is our agenda for seniors? That's what Friday is. What is our agenda for health? That's what Thursday is. What is our agenda for Black businesses? That's Wednesday. So as you can see, every month we have this idea to get those people who are on the same wavelength together. Okay. All right. So let's take a break. When we come back, we'll get into the legal part, and we're going to have open forum. All right. Thank you. All right, everyone. Cy Smith coming back to you again. Now we're gonna switch gears and talk about the legal process. The legal process in this country. And it goes kind of into the policies what we was just talking about as well. So George Floyd's killer received 22 years and a half. And I gotta tell you, I was just worried that he would get 10 years. So, they exceeded my expectation. And I was also somewhat relieved that the judge made the comments that he made, because that same judge appeared to be a little biased early on. And that's because I was in my skeptical mode because of my 46 years of conditioning here in the US. So I had to admit, I wasn't giving him the benefit of the doubt. So to get that amount of time is no justice for the Floyd family, but I was just happy to see he didn't get 10 years. So anyway, what I think the bill that's trying to pass through the Senate now is meeting resistance over this police immunity. Sorry about that. Immunity is a valid one, because it should be debated a little bit more. And I do believe sometimes you don't go cold turkey, sometimes you do. But in this instance here, I believe if everything else checks out and this bill could pass, I believe let's have a compromise where we do 3 strikes and then you lose your immunity. And we look at their track record. If they have 2 violations, that third one, that they lose their immunity. I think something of that nature is more doable than cold turkey. You're asking people who've been dead set on something a certain way to just give it all up. And I don't know how practical that is. So that's just one legal issue, is the immunity issue when it comes to police officers and their conduct. We also have laws on the books that protects corporations over people. During when Obama first got in office, you had the bailout of Wall Street, and no one went to jail for it. So not only did they get bailed out, get money, but they also no one pay a price for it. And now with this PPP, we're gonna have some Black people and others who probably was on the wrong side of that. And I do think if none of them corporate people went to jail, that none of these Black people should be going to jail when the IRS come knocking with that idea. And it just hopefully will teach government how to be more prudent when it comes to helping and releasing money. So I do think we need to have a law protecting people on that end. We also have on the legal side coming up, should non-documented people here be given resources as if they are Americans, ID cards. We have instances right now where Black men can't get IDs and they get out of jail, and undocumented people have the carpet rolled out for them to get IDs, even IDs multi-purpose. ID that dubs as an ID, also a driver license, also a card to get benefits from the government. And I just think that says something about second-class citizens, i.e. Black people, and then other people who are newly arrived. So that we need to look at that from a legal standpoint. 3 strikes you out is what was happening to us back in the day. We need to look at not necessarily 3 strikes you out on our end, on the voter end, but it should definitely be 3 strikes you out when it comes to politicians and people in positions of authority, police chiefs and all those type of people, that we be able to see your track records. We'll know when it's your 3rd strike. That level of transparency will cause a lot of them to alter their behavior, because they know people are able to access and see that your past. All right, so that's a big deal. So we also want people out there registering people to vote, not just waiting for elections. We got elections coming up in Chicago here soon. So the zoo is going to start. People are going to go door to door, and elders door to door are going to get so frustrated they're going to be ready to ignore and leave everybody alone. So that's typically what ends up happening. Uh, we do have a new lawyer that should be coming on board here soon. It's his parent that's on board with us now. That's going to allow us to access him and linking him now as a young person with our other people who are also attorneys should be a good thing for the group. And all attorneys have eighth graders to financially support. So all you eighth grade parents should get excited. Let us know where there's a eighth grader. I mean, where there's a lawyer at, so we can get them on board. So that's it. What I want to do as we close out here, I'm gonna take a break, then we'll close out. But before we do that, before we get to the closeout, I'm gonna check and see if you guys left any messages. I do want to just talk about what the future looks like for us and how long it's going to take for us to get there and what role should people play once it gets there. I do want to explore that because I have a vision. I don't know if anyone else have that visual, so I want to paint that when we come back with the last 20 minutes of our day. So we'll be right back in 5 minutes. All right, all right, all right. We are closing. We are wrapping up here. Sorry about the delay. So now this last segment is kind of our open forum. I'm gonna close out with the money because at the end of the day, it costs money to run this structure. And when I talk about $1 a month, I get it. Um, what the heck is that gonna do? How can $1 a month help? It's gonna take forever to collect $1 a month from all these people. $12 a year, that's forever. I don't have time for that. I want to see something in my lifetime. I've heard all of those statements. This is what I want to say when we talk about $12 a year with 40 million black people in this United States minimum. That's $480 million if we get everyone to do $12. 480 million is 20 million away from $500 million over $12. Half a B with $12. That should take away the argument that $1 is enough. Collectively is everything. And what needed to happen and what needed to happen was we had to build these multiple pathways to that ultimate goal. One pathway is not going to cut it. And for about 15 years, I was doing a one pathway to the 15. I wanted it $1 a month, and that was too much every month doing it. Then I went to getting the whole 12 up front. And where we are now, we have people who stand in the gap for other people who may take longer to win them over. So in this neighborhood, this person puts up money for 12 people, and we see how many people are in the neighborhood we can get. And if it's all 12, then he gets all his money back. If it's not 12, we give him his money back personally. So that's how that works, is we needed those people who can speed up us collecting the money up front so we can operate. We over the years have been about a $15,000 to $20,000 a year organization, especially when we was taking the kids to different cities. And each year, my wife and I would contribute about $12,000, $1,000 a month, to make sure that the trips was happening and other things was being paid for. So when I left full time, I knew my full time job. I knew I had to have a new system to keep funding until everything else fell in line. So the beauty is we have been amazed at the people, you guys who have stepped in and is doing what I would do before, which is put up the money for operations to keep going. We have 35 primarily black businesses that came together with $144, which is $12 for 12 people. And they have blessed us with $5,000 we need to keep operations going. Everything we do is in increments of 5,000. There's 20 neighborhoods in Chicago. We want 5,000 in every neighborhood for 1 month. And then we can see if they are ready to handle bigger dollar amounts based on what they've been able to do with the little dollar amount of 5K. So we have 50 people who trust us with $100. That's 5,000. That's just 30 days though. Then we have this 1 year, $144, 35 businesses doing that. That's 5K, but that gives us a year to pay it back. So we're in greater position now. We should be in Detroit right now. Next month, July, we should be focusing on St. Louis. Then August, we should be focusing on Milwaukee. Because I was so busy focusing on the 35, the initial 35, we didn't get to Detroit. We're going to try and make that up. And this is where you come in at helping us to get people to see value in the $12 or stand in the gap for 12 people, which is $144. So that's what is needed the most. This is the new document I put together to help us out so we can have a better visual on how that money matters. So if I had $5,000 in the bank, free money, not restricted money, the first thing I would do is to schedule the Detroit trip for $500, the St. Louis trip using $500, the Milwaukee trip using $500, and the Memphis, Tennessee trip using $500. That together is $2,000 of the 5,000. Our spindle is our brain. It's 108 meetings that keep spinning around every 30 days in meeting. We have to manage that. And there's people who are getting paid to manage that. One person manages 19 of those meetings that happen at 7 o'clock every night and gets paid to do that. Someone monitors the 2 o'clock meetings every day and they get paid for that. So that's the spindle. We have $2,100 set aside for that. Awards. We have a document that shows you kindergarten through 12th grade, and it shows you every month for this whole year which grades are up to win $300, up to $300. They're not going to read it all. But it's fun and exciting, but it's a way of us creating motivation, if you will, to make sure that this is happening. And so the awards will give us, when people say, where's my money going? See these kids holding up money? That's partially where your money is going. So it gives us bragging rights. Then the last one, well, that's it, the award spindle. So that's if we have 5K. Let me fast forward. If we got 25K, we're talking 3 trips to Detroit before the summer's out. That's 1.5 thousand. 5 trips to St. Louis before the summer's out. That's almost 3K, 2.5K. 5 trips to Milwaukee, 2.5K. 3 trips to Memphis, and then 4 trips to Mississippi. As you can see, I went from 5,000, we got 10,000, 15, 20, but I wanted to just show the depth. It still boils down to us going to these other cities. Now, why does that matter? And I said it earlier, the key is something has been built. Something has been built. And that something that's been built is this awesome network and system that's going to counter their system and their network that's working against us. So something has been built. Now that this thing has been built that puts us in the right formations and lines us up, now you got to go out and tell people. This is the next step, is to get out there and tell Detroit, get out there and tell St. Louis, get out there and tell Milwaukee, Memphis. You don't have to operate the way you were operating. We have now a system that you get to plug into and use for your own benefit and help it grow. So that's, to me, a beautiful thing. And so if you're writing anything down, the 2 assets we bring to the table is we use time to create predictability and guaranteed audiences. We are traveling to these other cities because we got to show them how to use time to create predictable and guaranteed audiences. What the heck does that mean? That means if you're selling t-shirts, we got a guaranteed audience ready to buy your t-shirts. Who is that? The last name solution. This month is going to be the Williams or the Walkers, because they've been waiting 5 months so that they can perform during the 6 month. So we've already carved out people's space so that they can be available. And this is why we got to travel, because they don't know this, and they won't know this until we get there to tell them. I'm going to give you the last 2. With $100,000, we get to run the test. Remember, I said everything goes in $5,000 increments. I need to give our governors, heads of the zip codes, I need to give them all $5,000 so that they can run their zip code according to the vision, the plan, not just to do their own thing. This $5,000 should last 90 days. That's it. So if they do right by it, we're going to see more people getting on the spindle, on the calls. We're going to see more people asking for personal meetings, asking for group meetings. We're going to see a buzz if they're hitting those benchmarks. Then the last one is if we have $200,000, 100,000 is going, 5,000 for all 20 zip codes, just like I previously said. But the other resource is going to stay, which is $100,000, is going to stay with headquarters so that we can do this. We want to have 20 street corners in Chicago with people manning all 4 parts of that corner, and we're going to have them stream at the same time. We need to do this more than once, but at the end of the day, I budgeted to do it once a month. So this is going to cost us $100 times 20 corners. That's $2,000 per time we do this. So $2,000 times 12 months is $24,000. That's what we got there. The spindle with more staff is going to be $2,160 a month that we spend, $24-something thousand a year. So they're going to be tied, the street corner project and the spindle. The awards, $4,000. And the reason the awards are so low is because it don't take much to generate conversation and excitement. So that'll increase, but just on the operational budget, I got to decrease. Then we have the US tours. this is part of what's going to be different for Black America, you guys. Tours. Like literally, when we talk about violence in Memphis, this month is Orange Mound. So what if all the other towns in Memphis all came to Orange Mound this month? It's going to make the local spirits a little uncomfortable that's into mischief because they need isolation, starvation, and exploitation to continue to reign supreme. When we bring all these people over there, it's going to disrupt that. So I think that's a big, big part of why the tours matter, because people need to have a budget moving around. The U.S. conventions matter. U.S. conventions is everything when we talk about boosting our economy in one of the blackest cities in America that's on the uptick. So just imagine us having people coming in and out participating in those conventions. U.S. 20 meetings. This is my meeting that I manage. Is for our leaders, and I've scaled this back to just those who are, you know, in position, if you will, and they last name. We don't want to have a lot of people feeling guilty about getting on when it's not even necessary. It's really about who's on duty. And then you heard me already talk about the trust. When we talk about those loans, it's a different type of trust. So hopefully, if you haven't done the loan, you will come on board with that. But we're talking about $10,000 to win those type of people over, and that's when they see the conventions, when they see people they know traveling, going to these meetings all over the country, and then of course $18,000 set aside for debt repayment. This is a biggie, and it's something that I want to make sure people know that a lot of times we make certain we go out our way to pay our people, because free is a bad word to me, because free means someone else covered that. And that's what I did recently when I saw something that I could have benefited from personally, but I said, no, let's reinforce it. Let's make sure that that person get it, and then they can pay it forward, as some people say. So we created these economic pathways. We use time to create predictability and guaranteed audiences. If every Wednesday is economic day, that's predictability. You know what's coming up next Wednesday. Let's get out there and do something around being keeping money in our hands. So that's it. We talked about the lawnmowers. We talked about the watermelons. Those are two operations that this month we was able to accomplish. Now we're going to be talking about the van, and we're going to be talking about you helping us get to the next $5,000. All right, let's take a peek now, see if there's any comments from anybody, and then we're going to talk about next month, and we're going to wrap this thing up and conclude. I'm gonna read these conventions as we conclude, but I'm going now to just check and see if we got any comments. Okay. All right. Nope, no comments. Okay. They used to say no comments mean no problem. No problem at all. So whatever works for you, it is what it is. I just want to read to you the rest of these conventions coming up, so you guys will be on the same page with us. Coming up next week is the Pastor Religious Convention. That's in July 3rd weekend. So that's a holiday weekend. We know a lot of people be traveling, but we also know that's the most deadliest warm holiday. And so having the religious leaders getting together is actually a good thing on that weekend, which is extremely dangerous for us, people losing their lives. Then July 10th, we're going to be at the Grand Theater, of course, and the focus will be around police. So this is a big one. You know, Chauvin been held accountable. So are we still mad at all the police? So that's something to see. But anyway, July 10th is the police convention. We're going to really see what we have, what we're working with. This is my position when it comes to the police. We need the police. You need the network on how wherever you know, if your mama's sick in Florida, you don't know where she is, you can call the authorities. They can go and check. That's a good system to have. So I'm for the police. I do believe we got to have accountability. It should be made up of people from the community, things of that nature. So the next one after that is the trucking convention. That's July 17th weekend. trucking convention is big. We got a lot of black truckers. One brother in particular, he has a trucking company that employs ex-offenders, and he's created a lot of jobs doing this. So that's a good thing in Georgia. Then we got July the 24th, which is the Lawyers Convention. That's on the day of the next summit, July 24th, and that's going to be centered around attorneys and what can be done legally on different scenarios. In August, and then I'm gonna stop here. In August, politicians step up first. So we gonna have the politicians convention. That's gonna be the first week. Then we're gonna have the military convention, which is the second weekend. That's one that should get exciting with all the military veterans in the city. The third Saturday is martial arts. The fourth one is sales and marketing. So like vendors and people like that. So that's what Gary, Indiana is going to be hosting. We got Lavetta, who's helping us on the convention end. We're going to start very, very soon getting this money in for the conventions. That means t-shirts, billboards, radio ads on TV, things of that nature to really hype up these conventions and give Black people at the grassroots level some other stuff to do on the weekend other than the same type of stuff. All right, so that's it. That should do it. Let me just do one thing here and make sure. For the registration, we talked about the convention's open forum and the next session. So next session again is Saturday, July 24th. I want to thank all of you guys for listening. And again, if your last name is coming up, A through E is next month. Get on here, you guys. It helps our people to be able to see more than just me running these meetings. And it's only twice a year that we asking you to do it. So hopefully A through E's won't have me out here next month all by myself. Peace.